This wonderful dinner today adds to the list of ways in which auto racing continues to recognize Richie Evans. He is already enshrined in the National Motorsports Press Association Hall of Fame in Darlington, South Carolina, and in the International Motorsports Hall of Fame in Talladega, Alabama. Next month at Daytona, as part of a ceremony marking the 50th anniversary of NASCAR, Evans will be honored as one of the 50 greatest drivers in the history of that sanctioning body. And yet I believe that because so many of his friends are in this room today, this induction would have meant as much to Richie as any of the other honors which have come his way. It is awfully easy to say after a person has passed on that he or she was larger than life. Well, Richie Evans managed to become larger than life even as he walked among us. Everybody knows about the races he won, and he won with astonishing regularity from New England to Florida. Everybody knows about the special events he conquered, most of them more than once. The Spring Sizzler at Stafford, the Thompson 300, Trenton, Pocono, Martinsville, Daytona. The list goes on and on. Everybody knows about the 9 NASCAR National Modified Championships. But in my mind, Richie's most notable accomplishment was the fact that along with those 9 titles came 9 selections as NASCAR's most popular modified driver, as voted by the national membership. Seldom in the history of automobile racing, and literally never in the history of NASCAR, has one driver managed to remain so dominant on the racetrack and so popular off it. Richie had an uncanny way of making even casual acquaintances seem like good friends. Because of that, everybody who knew him ended up with a collection of Richie Evans stories. It is a testimony to his stature within this sport that more than a dozen years after his death, we continue to share those stories. We pass them on to young racers and young fans as if they were part of American racing folklore, which in a very real sense they are. It's a pretty good bet that right now in a backyard garage or a corner gas station here in the Northeast, somebody is telling an Evans story. In a couple of months, on opening night at the local short track, that story will be passed around again in the grandstands and the pit bleachers. And the long shadow of Richie Evans will lengthen just a little bit. I happen to believe that the best place to hear an Evans story, or to tell one, is in a roadside tavern down the street from your local bull ring. The place ought to be good and loud. Loud with the blaring of music and loud with the sound of racing people unwinding with a beer after a summertime Saturday night. Richie was born for such places. He was, above all else, a man who liked to have a good time with his friends. Today, you can have a good time just remembering his good times. Way back in 1973, before he had ever clinched his first national championship, Evans told the writer Pete Zanardi, quote, "Some of the Richie Evans stories get magnified. The way some people talk, I wouldn't have time to race," unquote. What Richie did not say, what he did not need to say, was that most of those stories were not magnified. They were accurate and they were colorful, and now they are pieces of his legend and his legacy. It is one of the great joys of my life that I was able to be around while some of those stories unfolded. Had to run to the airport last night to pick up Richie's daughter, Tara, and hadn't seen her in quite a while, and was kind of worried that I might not recognize her. Well, anybody who knew Richie Evans will have no doubt that this is definitely Daddy's little girl. Please join me in welcoming all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina, where she currently attends Appalachian State College, Miss Tara Evans, to accept this honor on behalf of her father, Richie Evans.
I want to just say thank you, and that I also have an Evans story to share with you. When I was about, Bonesy told me, before you come up there, I'll put it down for you. But when I was just 5 years old, I played soccer, and I remember a story my father said. He said, "Tara, don't let those boys push you around." He said, "When the refs aren't looking, go ahead and stick your foot out and trip them." So, I've taken that story to heart, and it's just one I like to share. And I just want to say thanks again.
I'll hold on to that one until you're done. Okay. Tara, one more time. Stick your foot out and kick them. Richie Evans, ladies and gentlemen.